Scoring a lead role in a comic book movie is the big ticket for actors these days, but is it really everything it's cracked up to be? Robert Downey Jr. might be the quintessential example of a superhero role completely resetting an actor's entire career. Downey became a major star in the 80s and early 90s before a series of career-destroying scandals led him to undergo multiple stints in rehab. By the mid-2000s, he was trying to get his life back together in Hollywood, with roles in Zodiac and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. But the fact is, he just wasn't much of a box office draw. Then, Marvel decided to take a chance and bet their entire cinematic universe on him.
I am Iron Man.
It's difficult to understate just how transformative Iron Man was. For Downey, for Marvel Studios, and for the movie industry as a whole. The film was an instant hit, making its star the hottest commodity in town. Meanwhile, his success in the role turned Marvel into a genuine tour de force in Hollywood, whose interconnected superhero universe became the envy of their biggest rivals. In 2015, Downey became the highest paid actor in Hollywood, earning a staggering $80 million, and it came almost entirely from playing Tony Stark in the MCU. A superhero role can make or break an actor's early career, and more studios are turning to lesser-known actors to play their most famous characters. In 2016, teenage British actor Tom Holland was cast to play the MCU's version of Peter Parker in Captain America: Civil War. Not only did this turn out to be Holland's breakout role, but it completely redefined his life and career, turning him into a bankable movie star for an entirely new generation of fans. In the wake of his Marvel debut, Holland found work on intimate projects such as The Current War and major moneymakers like Uncharted. And thanks to his collaboration with the Russo brothers on Civil War and the Avengers movies, he was also cast in the 2022 Apple TV Plus drama, Cherry. The Marvel machine also changed the course of Holland's personal life. Not long after the release of Spider-Man: Homecoming, Holland and his Marvel co-star, Zendaya, began a romantic relationship, making them one of Hollywood's hottest young power couples. Brie Larson had been a struggling actor for years before Captain Marvel. She'd been working in Hollywood since she was a little kid, in fact. But it wasn't until her role in the 2013 film Short Term 12 that she really hit her stride. Just a few years later, Larson suddenly found herself up for the part of Carol Danvers. But Larson was nervous about how her life could change if she played such a big part in the MCU, as the role came alongside widespread public recognition and the pressure of high expectations. And to make things even more stressful, Marvel had sworn her to secrecy after reaching out to her about the role, so she couldn't ask her loved ones for their thoughts.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
Obviously, Larson ended up going for it, and she has since played Captain Marvel in a number of MCU projects. As she told Vanity Fair, "I had to sit with myself, think about my life, and what I want out of it. Ultimately, I couldn't deny the fact that this movie is everything I care about, everything that's progressive and important and meaningful, and a symbol I wished I would have had growing up." It's easy to assume that most actors would jump at the chance to play Captain America. Nevertheless, Chris Evans wasn't so keen to take on the challenge when it was offered to him. He once told We Got This Covered, "I was nervous about the lifestyle change, about the commitment. I also like having anonymity. Losing that and having to change my lifestyle was just terrifying." Evans went on to explain that his loved ones helped him realize why he couldn't skip out on this incredible opportunity. He said, "The more I spoke to people about it though, the more they said that I can't make a decision based on fear." But even though Evans was about to start playing a superhero, he certainly didn't feel like one. He decided to begin seeing a therapist to deal with his anxiety about his new role. Going to therapy helped him embrace his new status and understand why playing Captain America was worth all of that sacrifice. There are a few actors in Hollywood whose entire career can be credited to a single role. But if anyone in superhero movies can claim as much, it's Chris Hemsworth, who was plucked from relative obscurity to play the title role in Marvel's 2011 movie, Thor. Before playing the God of Thunder, Hemsworth was best known in his native Australia for his run on the soap opera, Home and Away. Certainly, few people could have predicted he'd become Hollywood's next big star. But thanks to his role as Thor, Hemsworth became an in-demand action icon. taking leading roles in high-profile movies such as Rush and Snow White and the Huntsman. Thanks to his work with directors Joe and Anthony Russo on Infinity War and Endgame, he also starred in the critically acclaimed Netflix action movie, Extraction, and its 2023 sequel. Hemsworth's turn as the God of Thunder didn't just raise the actor's profile either. Thanks in part to 2017's genre-breaking superhero comedy, Thor Ragnarok, the actor established himself as a capable comedic actor, in addition to a proven action hero.
That's what. Because that's what heroes do.
Chris Pratt spent years playing the lovable, scatterbrained Andy Dwyer on the feel-good sitcom Parks and Recreation. But all along, he had his sights set on bigger projects. It was hard to imagine that the same guy who portrayed Andy could be a superhero. But when the opportunity came up to audition for the role of Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy, Pratt decided to go for it. He didn't think he had a real shot, but against all odds, he nailed it. Guardians premiered to rave reviews, taking Pratt's career to a whole new level. He told Vanity Fair, "I made a genre jump, a category jump, some kind of jump." After playing Peter Quill, new doors opened up for him in Hollywood, paving the way to leading roles in other blockbuster films. He starred alongside Jennifer Lawrence in Passengers, took on another iconic franchise with Jurassic World, and made a serious splash in the world of animation, with lead roles in the Lego Movie and the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Chadwick Boseman was already a well-respected actor when he took the role of T'Challa in Captain America: Civil War. Boseman had played several pioneering black icons over the years, including James Brown, Jackie Robinson, and Thurgood Marshall. But while Hollywood had already recognized his talent as an actor, his 2018 solo follow-up, Black Panther, turned him into one of the most influential stars on the planet. Black Panther wasn't just remarkable for being the first blockbuster superhero movie with a predominantly black cast. It also blew everyone away at the box office, becoming the first superhero film with a predominantly black cast to crack the $1 billion mark. And it remains the highest-grossing film with a black leading man ever. Boseman returned to the role just a few months later, joining the rest of the heroes of the MCU in the groundbreaking crossover movie, Avengers: Infinity War. Tragically, Boseman died from cancer in 2020, just before production began on the Black Panther sequel. Though he enjoyed an impressive and arguably Oscar-worthy career outside of the superhero genre, his role as T'Challa established an indelible legacy that will live on for generations. For a long time, Paul Rudd always seemed to solely pop up in romantic comedies. From his breakout role in Clueless to Knocked Up and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, it was clear that Rudd had a niche. Starring in a superhero film seemed like the last thing that might be in the cards for an actor like that. But in 2015, he appeared as Scott Lang in Ant-Man. Rudd went on to appear in 2 sequels to Ant-Man, as well as a couple of crossover films. For Rudd though, there was something extra special about playing this pint-sized superhero. After decades of working on movies that were clearly geared towards adult or teenage audiences, he had finally starred in a movie that he could enjoy with his young son, who was 10 years old at the time that Ant-Man was released. Rudd told The Guardian, "This is the first film of mine that he's seen, and it makes me proud and nervous at the same time. I took him to the premiere. He'd never been to a premiere, and that was a very moving experience for me. The best thing about anything is sharing it with your kid." Although the first Suicide Squad movie flourished commercially, it attracted widespread negative reviews. That didn't stop Margot Robbie from having a fantastic time playing Harley Quinn, however. And she definitely wasn't ready to leave Harley behind once the credits rolled. While filming Suicide Squad, Robbie realized that this character had so much more potential. She told Collider, "I wasn't seeing enough girl gangs on screen, especially in the action space. I was like, I love action. I love action films. I'm a girl. What, are we meant to only like a specific thing?" So Robbie took matters into her own hands, and she pitched an idea for an action film starring Harley and her girl gang. This vision came to life with Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, a movie about Harley bidding farewell to the Joker and striking out on her own.
I'm telling you, if you want boys to respect you, you have to show them that you're serious. Blow something up.
Thanks to her killer performance as Harley and her own initiative, Robbie went from a sex symbol to a legitimate action star, complete with her own team of heroic sidekicks. Gal Gadot just might have been born to play Wonder Woman. She embodies her character so well, in fact, that you could be forgiven for thinking she's just an Amazonian warrior who happened to stumble on a Hollywood set one day. The crazy part? Gadot nearly quit acting before she was offered the role of Diana. She was so discouraged by countless rejections that she was ready to throw in the towel. As she told Glamour, "I was thinking about never coming back to Los Angeles because there had been so many no's. I reached a place where I didn't want to do that anymore. I was thinking, what am I good for?" And that's when I got Wonder Woman. Finally, Gadot landed the life-changing role she'd been searching for all along. Wonder Woman made a huge impact on audiences around the world, proving that yes, people were more than ready for female-led superhero movies. Years before Deadpool hit the big screen, Ryan Reynolds dreamed of playing the character in a tentpole movie, or at least a tentpole movie that wasn't X-Men Origins Wolverine. He'd already pitched the idea to studios and been turned down, but those early rejections didn't quell his enthusiasm for this story. Reynolds knew that his ideas for the script were gold, and he just needed a chance to prove it.
Fake laugh, hiding real pain.
When Deadpool finally premiered, over a decade after Reynolds began pushing for it, the response was overwhelming, and it was almost too much for Reynolds to handle. He felt overexposed and vulnerable, later telling GQ, "I had a little bit of a nervous breakdown. I literally had the shakes. I went to go see a doctor because I felt like I was suffering from a neurological problem or something. And every doctor I saw said, 'You have anxiety.'" Looking back on his emotional state after the release of Deadpool, Reynolds said, "I think that was a slightly fear-based reaction. Now he feels more comfortable with himself, and he's not so scared to have all eyes on him." In 2005, Christian Bale suited up as the Caped Crusader in Christopher Nolan's reboot, Batman Begins. Bale had received rave reviews for American Psycho and The Machinist in previous years, but most of his filmography comprised prestigious art house films and cult action flicks. As the title character in Batman Begins, however, Bale was playing arguably one of the biggest characters in all of pop fiction, while becoming the center of a huge tentpole action franchise. Casting Bale as Batman proved to be one of Nolan's greatest strokes of genius, and the film's success sent them both to the A-list. They reunited for 2 more films in the Dark Knight trilogy, and also collaborated on the beloved 2006 thriller, The Prestige. The role of Batman might not have been Bale's first action movie, but it was his first major bona fide hit in the genre, and it wasn't long before he was headlining blockbuster releases such as Terminator Salvation and 3:10 to Yuma. He also nabbed Oscar nominations for his work in American Hustle and Vice. Suffice to say, Bale's career completely altered its trajectory after donning the cape and cowl.